And welcome everybody into, the old big show here on Sunday. All you hockey heads and hosers out there, it's the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Let's Go Devils podcast network. Isn't that crazy how we came up with that name? I'm Scotty, here with Short Sky on the top square, if we're going to do Hollywood Square style. And then to my left, I guess my right, I don't know, whatever. There's the old beer baron there with his nifty wool winter hat. Although it's very
cold
stylish
out.
With the
very cold
the black.
out.
Is that a black logo? Because sometimes the cameras hide the actual color. That's all black and white there, or gray.
Black and gray. Black and gray.
Yeah, it's a nice looking piece of material you got there on top of your head there, kid.
Yeah, it's surprisingly cold outside, man. And this my little studio space is not very insulated, so it gets very cold in here as well.
All right. Well,
boys,
Willow agrees.
Boys.
And welcome everybody. It's season 8, episode 8, the old 88. And Sam Wu, who by the way is producing behind the scenes, may or may not still be recovering from the Great American Whiskey Cookie Race of 2025. I mean, I'm sorry, Mrs. Fields. Mrs. Fields. That wasn't Sam Wu. That was Mrs. Fields out there on the streets outside of American Whiskey with a fantabulous race, which, had a better outcome than the game yesterday. But either way, Sam Wu is producing behind the scenes. Feel free to say hi to him on the YouTube chat, Twitter, or X, whatever the hell it's called, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch. I don't know. Is there something? MySpace, Friendster, everywhere else. All those above.
All of them. All of them.
And I see the peeps starting to come in here on the old YouTube chat and everybody saying hello. Race to the playoffs.
Race to the playoffs, which is going in a very sideways. This is like that race if you're watching at the arena,
slow motion,
and miss and any of those three characters, and they fall on their face.
Yep,
and then they pop back up and they start running again. That is, the Devils are in that mode right now because the last 2 games they fell on their face, they rolled over on their backs, and they flopped around like a dead fish.
Wow, someone's got some feelings. All right. We established that,
feelings, bud. It's like talking to a toddler right now. You got big feelings, little guy?
Boy.
You got those big feelings? Yeah, I got those big feelings right now. Those big feelings
are. Thanks, sweet Ozzy. It's cold over there because we know what happens when Beer Baron has big feelings. Big tarps go flying off. So
when we've seen that
there in that basement, yeah,
we've seen that live and in person.
Have you?
Or if things are going overly, exceedingly well, the tarp will come off then too.
Yeah,
excitement in either direction. So it could be bad excitement or it could be good excitement. Either way, the tarp
or it could
mean that Chico Resch is about to show up. Yeah, it's about. It's also mean that Chico Resch is about to show up.
Or Chico Resch is about to. That's right.
Hey guys, Chico's coming on. Let's act professional.
Poorly timed tarps. Yeah. No, actually, what happened was somebody goes, "Chico's right over there," and I panicked and I ran and I dove into a pickup truck bed filled with empty cans.
That was my truck.
Yeah, of course it was. Yes, it was.
That's
of
what
course
that
screaming feelings.
Those cries of pain that we heard that day. That's what that was. We were trying to figure it out.
That's me. Diving into the back of a truck. I do have big feelings about this team because Selecta Boy just said, but seriously, it's tiring watching this team struggle in March. We know the task at hand. Injuries aside, and Jacob Markstrom needing to figure it out aside, there are some things that happen on this team where it's just like, boys. What are we doing? We're in March here. I feel like when I'm talking to my class sometimes, and I'm like, the simple things. Guys, it's the simple things. We're in March.
You don't flip the puck over the glass, okay? You don't put the puck over the glass. No delay games.
That happened in 2 games. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen more over the course of 2 games.
And I mean, it just the stupid and a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's oh, it's just bad luck. And it's like, no. That's not bad luck. That's just sometimes that's just being lazy and not doing what you need to do.
Rushed.
And I mean,
it could be called poor play.
Yeah, and there's guys that need to level out their play, and there's guys that need to really get to a point where they're more consistent. I feel like the theme of this season has been consistency and the lack thereof. The only thing they've been consistent at is their inconsistency. And if you think that I'm wrong about that, you can look at the fact that they haven't won 3 games or 4 games in a row this year. So, yeah, they're 95% chance of making the playoffs. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? Yeah. But good God, if we're going into the playoffs playing like this, it's going to be an early April, or early April, an early exit in the playoffs, because it's just going to be like, if you're playing Carolina in round 1, guess who likes to prey on those kinds of dumb mistakes? A good, solid coach team like Carolina. And guess who, that's right now on paper, that's who we're playing. So they need to get it right.
Well, speaking of coaches, I don't know if everybody saw out there in Devil's World. I know the esteemed Shorts Guy and Beer Baron here have witnessed the press conference of one Sheldon Keefe Richards. And he was a little upset. He wasn't getting that satisfaction, Mick Jagger style. And Johnny Kovacevic came out and said, we need to play like it's the playoffs and everything like that. And Sheldon quickly answered back to a reporter, repeating Kovacevic's quote, saying, Kovacevic just needs to play better.
Yeah.
It was not a delay. It was pretty blunt and straightforward. And, it wasn't like, I'm going to take a minute to think about this. I'm going to say something a little funny and sarcastic. It could be taken out of context. No, this was pure and just, I'm pissed off. Now, personally, I think it's a little refreshing to see the coach, creating that accountability amongst the team. But I have seen other opinions on the other side, not too happy with it. So I will ask you guys, someone here has very big feelings. I know Shorts Guy thinks it's not good enough. So, what's your take? There you go. Is it not good enough on the coaches? Is it not good enough on the players? This is becoming a hot debate. This core has been here, and they seem to suffer from the same mistakes, year in, year out. Yeah. So is it the coaching? Is it the players? And what do you think of Sheldon Keefe just no delay in calling them out?
Well, Shorts Guy, you take the floor in this one.
Well, I mean, I have no problem with him calling Kovacevic out, especially, just reviewing the goals from Thursday. Kovacevic is the defenseman that tried to backhand chip the puck out of the zone, gave it right to Huberdeau, and Huberdeau just picked the corner. Like, he was right there. So it's not that Covey's been playing all too well. Is Covey right that they got to start playing playoff hockey? Yeah, he is. But I'm going to bet that by this point, we're in March, late March, almost April now of the season, that Sheldon Keefe knows how to push the buttons to some of these players to get maximum out of them. And maybe this is the type of motivation he knows that Covey is going to respond to. On top of that, Keefe is allowed to be annoyed after a loss. Like that's
2 losses.
2 losses in a row. And the loss last night, the Devils they just didn't want to shoot. Now, granted, we got to give Ottawa some credit. They were getting sticks in lanes and they were clogging up the middle. The frustration felt in the stands was, why aren't you shooting a puck? But if there's no lane, you don't want to rush a shot, shooting in some shin pads or whatever, and have a breakaway go the other way. But it seems that the Devils were stymied in their offense because they definitely could not get a shot on net, and any shot on net that they got yesterday was not really very good, with the exception of Heischer's goal, which Brad, which Brad had the assist on. Other than that, their offense was pretty pitiful, and we could talk about this later, but I take exception for that tripping call, which gave Ottawa that power play, which gave them that goal. Because
what about the
tripping call
defense? What about the defense though?
bad.
Because on both of the goals in 32 seconds for Ottawa, the Devils had
Yeah.
multiple chances to get the puck out of the zone, and they did not.
You got to get it out of the zone. That second goal looked really like just that was one of
Both
those
of them were
wonky
bad.
Seeing eye goals.
Both of them were
I
like
think
bad
the second one-
bounces. The second one
second
went
one
off a
was
Timo
worse.
skate, like right to
Yeah.
the who was it? It wasn't Kachuk had the first goal. Whoever had the second goal, I can't remember. It went off Timo skate right to him. Like that sort of stuff you can't really. But
You can't.
they had 2 or 3 chances to get out of the zone just before that, and Ottawa was able to keep
get
it
it out.
in. Exactly.
Yeah, you got to get it out, and that is frustrating from the goalie's point of view, because you want to get the puck out of the zone, and you can't get it out of the zone. It's your defenseman that's supposed to get it out of the zone, and man, it's just frustrating to see that not happen. But again, Ottawa was playing pretty good defensively last night, so it's like you have to give them some credit because they were able to just kind of shut the Devils down. But the Devils' shots on goal yesterday were pitiful, just pitiful. The numbers, I think they went halfway through It was either halfway through the second or halfway through the third with no shots on goal.
And let's not forget. Let's not forget that that's not because Jack Hughes is not on the team right now, because there was a stretch of time after the Christmas break where the Devils were averaging 12 shots a game. It's so weird that how the script got reversed. Remember, there was a point where the Devils were holding other teams to 12 shots a game. In fact, there was like a 7-game to 9-game stretch where they were holding teams under 20 shots a game. And then all of a sudden, Christmas break happened, and whatever happened to this team, I don't know what happened to this team, but this team has been vastly different. It's like one of those unexplainable,
pure frustration on your face there. Whatever happened?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what happened to this team.
I don't know, and I can't use words I would normally use when I get frustrated. Yeah, dude, it's one of those things where you're looking at the team and you're like, yeah, they're clicking, they got it, they go to blah 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 blah. Like I said before, injuries aside, their offense this year, just some days they don't show up. And so now I'm going to pause the conversation about Kovacevic and Keefe, and I'm going to kind of interject something, because I definitely stand behind Keefe and what he said. I feel like Kovacevic, I agree with Shorts Guy with this might be just one of those like, hey, I know how to motivate my guy, and he's sitting here saying like, yeah, we're gonna play playoff hockey and blah blah blah. And he's like, well, I'm going to tell him he's not doing it yet, and that's going to piss him off, and that's going to make him play better. So I agree with you on that aspect. The one thing that worried me about when we hired Keefe, and trust me, I've been a huge fan of this hiring, and I am a huge fan of Keefe as our coach. And I'm not asking for him to be fired or anything else like that. But the one thing that always worried me...
You're not going George Costanza at the car dealership?
Not going Costanza, no.
I want my Twix, my 75 cents back, and for him to be fired.
Yeah, exactly. No, I look at what he had up in Toronto. Granted, they never really had solid goaltending, and their defense is always questionable at best. But he always had like star power up there, and he could not get past the first round. So there's always that question of like, what's going to happen when the Devils get into the first round? If they have a first round exit, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of people that are going to sit there and be like, we hired the wrong coach. He can't make it out of the first round, blah, 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 blah. And a part of me is like, well, yeah, you're right. And a part of me is like, well, a different circumstance, different team, whatever, give the guy a chance. It's his first year. There's a lot of growing pains that are going on still with this team, which is kind of unfortunate, and that's on coaching. There's a lot of dumb mistakes and days where this team doesn't show up. That's on coaching. It's also on players too. It's like a give and take, right? because I could sit here and Shorts guy as a coach. This is so frustrating. That's what I'm saying.
That's not coaching.
That's what I'm saying.
That's on the players too.
Because as you talk it out, as a rational human being, as you talk it out, you're like, they're not doing it because of coaching. And then you're like, wait, these are paid professionals. They should be able to do it with very minimal to, very light coaching and still be able to do their job well. And then you're like, yeah, but if their coach is good enough to motivate them, then they could do it on their own. And then you're like, yeah, but they're a professional. They shouldn't have to have somebody kick them in the butt and motivate them. They should be motivated on their own. It is.
I like how you dance that hard line and then whoop, just kind of step right over.
And now you can see why my goddamn head feels like it's going to explode when I watch this team, because I don't know who to blame. I actually don't. This is the problem. That's why I'm saying I need to put a pause in this, because I don't really know how to blame. I don't know if it is coaching. I don't know if because it's easy, but that's also an easy out. That's an easy cop out, right? Like you could sit there and be like, oh, it's definitely the coaching. And Shorts guy, you've coached hockey. You've coached, you're a teacher as well. You understand what it feels like to you put everything in place for them to succeed. You give them every opportunity, and you prep them. You give them everything that they will need to succeed. And you're like, here you go, boys. This is what we got in front of us. You're a better team than the team that's on the other bench. Here's what you need. Here's what you got. And this is what we can do. And they're like, you got it, coach. And they go out there and they take a big steaming one right in the middle of the ice. And you're like, what are we doing here? On the flip side of it, you could have players that are like, they're working their tails off, and they have a coach who's so goddamn confusing, where he's like, go right, I mean left, right, go up, no, up, like how I feel trying to describe which one is right and which one is wrong right now. And you could get that kind of mixed messaging from the coaching staff, and it becomes confusing. We don't have the privilege to be in the bench to figure that part out. So that's why it's confusing for me.
For the both of you, because I see Selecta says, I kind of agree with Selecta here, but I want to hear your guys' opinions on this. Just for poops and giggles, we won't use the other word, just for poops and giggles here. Devils make the playoffs. They win. They lose to just say hypothetically, they lose to the Canes 4-2 in the first round. What would be your stance on Sheldon Keefe next year?
You keep him, obviously. It's his first year.
You don't completely rewire and rebuild a culture, which the Devils culture was pretty, we had how many years of Lindy Ruff for that culture to sink in with all these young guys, and then you have Sheldon Keefe come in. He's not going to rewire that culture that's been there for a couple of years with most of the core of this team over the course of one season. And yeah, there have been hiccups, and we're seeing it now. Their defensive structure. If you look at those first two goals against Ottawa, I don't know what the hell the defensemen are doing in the front of the net there. But it feels like there's no sticks being tied up. It feels like players are able to get open when they shouldn't be, and defensive players are out of position. So that's on the defensive side. So do you maybe make some adjustments with the assistant coaching? That I think is more plausible than getting rid of Keefe. But there's definitely a structural thing going on wrong here. And
there's going to be hot takes though.
I know there's going to be hot takes.
Oh wait, real quick.
Hot takes get clicks.
People.
Hot takes get
on
clicks.
Our podcast,
clicks get money, and that's why people are going to do it. And we're a little bit more level-headed than some of those clickbait, voices out there.
We are not saying to fire Ruff at all. Period. Blank. Period.
No, that's what we said. Hypothetical. What do you think would happen? There's been no statement that says that we should do that.
No, I can see them changing assistant coaches on the defensive end. If we do a first round bomb out, and then that's one of the big things, and maybe an assistant coach on the offensive end too, because the offense is obviously not clicking at all. Like something's going wrong with the offensive scheme too. If you watching that game yesterday, they poured on the shots in the third period, but at that point, none of the shots that were getting through were quality shots. They were shots that were getting to the net, but I wouldn't say that they were high quality scoring chances. Olmark grabbed a lot of them real easy up top with his glove. So it's almost like the plan with Olmark was to shoot high, but a lot of
shoot high, yeah.
a lot of this by Olmark, just
right in
grabbing
front
it
of his
out of the
face.
air,
Yeah.
right in front of his face, and that's not going to go in. They weren't very high quality shots. That's just what I've seen. Because I was at the both of the last two games, and my vantage point was pretty good on the goaltenders, and it's just that it's disappointing on the defensive end. But you can even go back to the game against Vegas, where they blew a 3-goal lead in the third period, because of everyone's favorite young defenseman. So something's wrong. The pattern here is defense. The pattern here is defense.
And the pattern in the first half of the season was defense on the other side. All the shot blocks, the getting in the lanes, the clearing of the puck, the insane. The penalty kill is still pretty good. I'm not gonna, but I feel like, the defense was what everyone was chirping about in the first half of the season, and now it's
maybe they're exhausted.
It's the opposite.
But look at what we lost too. See, what people don't give Siegenthaler enough credit for the season that he was having. I mean, let me rephrase that.
But were some other guys
he was getting the credit, but it was all about balance, right? When you had Hamilton and you had Siegenthaler in the lineup, one of the things that we talked about way early in the season, pre-Christmas break, was how refreshing it was that there were no defensive pairing changes constantly happening. That we had the same defensive pairing night in, night out, night in, night out. If they struggle, they struggle together. If they failed, they failed together. That also means they learn together, they grow together, they get better together.
Mm-hmm.
Once we had Siegenthaler go down, then we started mixed match. So there's a correlation between Siegenthaler's injury and defensively what was going on with this team. Yes, it was starting to happen a little bit before he went out, but I feel like that was the catalyst of like when the S hit the fan, because that happened. Dougie going down, all these little things, and Dougie going down didn't happen that long ago. So it's not like we didn't have, we haven't had Siegenthaler longer than we haven't had Dougie. So, but once Dougie went down, that just compounded an already bad situation.
But do you think some of the guys on defense were playing a little above expectation in the first half of the year?
Somebody got a contract because of it.
Someone like Kovacevic, even a Brendan
100%.
Dillon, who we see now more kind of, he was always up on that top pairing for the first part of the season. He's not like 40 years old, but still he's a veteran in the league. Is he kind of slowing down a little bit as the season goes on? Like we heard so much from him in the beginning, and now, once it seems like that Siegs injury was like the catalyst for a lot of things going off on the defense. But have some of those other players, were they playing above their plateau at first, and now they're kind of like leveling out to what they're going to be?
Is it that, or is it that these defensemen were, playing to their caliber, but they didn't have to be the stars of defense? Whereas now they have to step up and play a bigger role. Siegenthaler and Hamilton were taking a lot. That was a pretty solid defensive core. But you take those two out of there, and now someone like a Kovacevic and a Dillon now all of a sudden get vaulted into that higher stratosphere of we now need to rely on you completely. Take away Brett, the Pesci Hughes pairing. But a Kovacevic and a Dillon now they're vaulted into the spotlight. So now not only do they have to be relied on more, but now we're going to analyze them a little bit more. Whereas maybe they didn't have to be, they were happy kind of being in the shadows in a sense, but now they're in the bright light, and maybe they're not handling that bright light so well.
Yeah, and then you also have to put in the fact that you have one of the young defensemen that you were counting on this year has been having a sophomore slump, and then when you put him in, he looks so disconnected at some points where you're like, does this guy even know he's actually playing in the NHL right now? And a lot of fans get frustrated with somebody like Nemec because they look at his talent and they look at the draft position, and rightfully so draft position, and they're like, this kid should be better. And you're like, yeah, he should. He's also a kid. And he's also playing in the best league in the world. So sometimes these things need to take time. And he could say all he wants about being stuck in the AHL, but if he's not going to take it seriously when he gets up to the NHL level, he's going to struggle, and he struggles on fundamental things, like like you said about that Vegas game the other day. And I think that the one game that's the most frustrating is when they were up 3-1 the other night, and I go to sleep for 15 minutes because I fell asleep reading to my kid. I wake up expecting them to win the game because it's like past. Like I woke up and I'm like, oh, it's 9:30. Holy cow! I'm expecting to wake up and be like, oh, Devils won 3-1, 3-2, 4-1, whatever, and they lost 5-3. I was like, what the hell happened? I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah. All right. Well, here's another side of it, and thank you, Dubs, for pointing this out on the old YouTube chat. There, is it not the defenseman in that sense, or is it because the forwards can't maintain any ozone pressure? And your defensemen are getting gassed by the end of the game, consistently. I mean, that's something you were just mentioning, Beer Baron, about the lack of shots and everything like that. I know when Jack went down, that was a big, hit for zone entries and everything like that. By the way, Luke, just skate into the zone, dude. You don't have to pass it back every single time. When you're going like 100 miles an hour up the ice, just keep going.
Oh, for the power play, there was...
That's the Lindy Ruff effect on him.
Yeah, he went into the zone and then passed it back out of the zone, and I'm like, "Oh, Luke, just keep going, buddy. Just keep going."
That power play's even being used in the college ranks. I saw that watching. I've been watching a lot of college hockey over the last month, and it's being used there. And I just don't get why you're going to stop your forward momentum. But what do I know? This is why I'm not in the NHL, and they are.
Well, do you think it's more, to Dubs' point, do you think it's more on the forwards just not getting that same pressure they were getting in the first half of the season, and the D-men are just running out of gas because they're just doing way too much?
That has a lot to do with it too. If the forwards are not doing their part in the offensive zone and they're not getting that possession, that's absolutely, that's a great point by Dubs. I mean, it's a full team failure at this point between the offense and the defense. Is the defense gassed? Well, it's possible because, again, going back to my point earlier, Hamilton and Siegenthaler are out. Those are big minute guys, and now a player like Kovacevic and Dylan has to play big minutes. Maybe they're not prepared for big minutes. But the offense has not been doing well either. So it's just not good all around.
Yeah.
So and going back to Beer Burns' point, it might be the play. It's definitely it's the coaching too. Yeah. It's both.
Hence the thing with reason of the confusion.
Here's the thing with that though. As the coach, you can prepare your team all you want. They can say, "I got it. I got it." It can go well in practice.
They got to go out there.
Once you get that set up, they have to go out there and do it. You can't go out there as the coach on the ice. You can't blow a whistle in the middle of the second period. Be like, whoa, that breakout sucked. Let's try it again. Like that's what you do in practice.
Right.
Like that's when you lose your mind in practice.
But you can make adjustments in between periods, though.
You can make adjustments in between periods, but when they're on the ice, that's them to make those decisions. So it's also on them too.
I will say, I was very happy to see Nico get 30 goals. I was very happy to see Jesper Bratt get the 61st assist to break Scott Stevens' record.
That was right in front of me. I loved it.
Those two have been having a great season, and what a play that was too. Luke was just he was like doing his own like personal mini cycle there at the blue line by himself, just like buying time, and then he feeds Jesper Bratt the his patented cross seam pass there right there. The easiest part was Nico just slamming it home. Everything it was like Luke and Jesper had the hard part of that goal. Nico just had to time it and boop, just hit it, buddy.
Bratt's pass.
That was in, but what a goal.
Bratt's pass was fantastic. That pass Bratt, across the zone, it was awesome.
Bratt, he skates like Mrs. Fields runs, with grace, with dignity, and some of people have equated it to like watching if God himself came down and strapped on a giant cookie and tried to run down a street, how that might look to some.
Yeah. And if you don't know, this actual incident took place in real life.
Oh, it did.
For the Devils game on Saturday there against Ottawa. Now, they left us with a losing feeling, but let me tell you, everybody was winners pregame. Right outside the world-famous American whiskey across the street from the Prudential Center, which proudly serves Ann Crew Brew, now correctly on tap. Apparently, you might have been getting the wrong beer earlier or something like that. We're not sure. But now, Shorts Guy can confirm it is correctly on tap right now at American Whiskey. And I do believe there was, press and, helicopters above, just trying to get a glimpse of the spectacle that was the Great American Whiskey Race of 2025. And Sam Wu, do we have some exclusive footage and coverage of this event?
Yes, we do. The paparazzi were there. It was just a spectacle, absolute spectacle.
Wow.
Yeah.
I heard Blitzer was in the helicopter. Just he had the binoculars out, and he could not get enough of it the entire time before the game.
Yeah. Plus, he
true?
was talking to his
true,
attorney for a cease and desist letter. I don't know what that's.
Oh,
about.
okay. All right. Yeah.
He said, "There's a cookie down there that looks like someone that I know that might be a part of." Well, I don't know why he sounds like Chief Quimby, or not Chief Quimby. Mayor.
I was like, "Is that
Mayor.
Kennedy?" I'm like, "What's going on?" Yeah, Mayor, right?
He's from Boston, isn't Harrison from Boston? You look down there, you'll see a large gentleman dressed in a cookie, and he might be running down a street. That's my street. Put a letter in his mailbox.
Sam Wu, can we see the footage?
Oh, absolutely.
Can we bring that up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we need to go to the Let's Go Devils podcast studios for a game break update with the king of the cookie calls himself, Sam? By God, woo! Chariots of Fire, huh?
A little bit already.
Great. Great American whiskey.
That dissolve was a little, Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Race. 6 seconds. 6 seconds.
There it
for
is. Look at this. Oh, look
There
at
it
Mrs.
is.
Fields. And it looks like pizza. What is that? Pizza and who was that? An ice cream.
That's an ice cream.
Oh, there's
That's
Mr.
Mr. Twist.
Fields. Look at. Oh, you gotta stop. You take a breather. Oh! He thought he saw a catfish down there on the street, but actually, no. He was just catching his breath and making his victory right there.
I like that Tony Twist. I mean, Mr. Twist is in the background scuffling it up with the other food product.
I mean, this is a dream come true for so many kids out there.
Oh yeah.
And it's just gonna warm the hearts, especially a la mode style.
Yeah.
A la mode.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the cookie race, Mr. Sam
Mrs.
Wu.
Fields.
I mean,
No, that was Mrs. Fields.
That's
Mr. Fields.
That was
in the
Mrs.
first-
Fields.
in the flesh.
Mr.
Yeah, in the
Fields.
flesh.
Yeah.
That stupid pretzel. Man, that stupid pretzel was.
Oh, what
just
was it? It was the
such
pretzel
pain.
and the ice cream.
Oh,
Sorry.
the pretzel. That's who it was.
The pretzel, the Auntie Anne's pretzel was just such a pain. That's why ice cream had to fight him.
Throwing fists. I mean,
Yeah.
Dropped the gloves and
Yeah,
everything.
they had a
Dropped the
Donnybrook.
gloves.
Yeah,
Oh,
like a pure
Pulp
sixer.
Station Donnybrook. How you doing? It came out of
Well,
nowhere.
you
Start
can't-
throwing the bones.
Listen, when the pretzel starts when the pretzel starts screwing around like that, you just there's only one thing ice cream's got to do, and it's just drop the gloves and take care of the problem. And that's what happened. That's what
Yeah.
It's a
happened.
pretzel.
I
It's
mean,
not
you're-
a pizza.
The ice cream clock is ticking, because you're outside,
Yeah, I
it's melting.
know.
You got to get your licks in, good and early. And I
Stephen
love
Molnar,
that.
Pretzel.
I love
keeper.
that,
Molnar that's fake news,
victory
Stephen
tape
Molnar.
there.
The pretzel lost pretty good because the pretzel was still on the racetrack, on the race course. After
The
everyone
pretzel was
else.
old.
The pretzel was still in the
is
race
old.
course after the race
Ladies
ended.
and gentlemen, the pretzel is crumbling right before our eyes as we watch it being
I
Oh, look at
pummeled
that.
by
Look
Mr.
at that.
Tony Twist himself. The ice cream. Look at he's struggling. He tries to throw a left, but it is just falling apart. And here comes Mrs. Fields. Slowly, I don't know what this is. The feet moving. That's not jog.
Yeah.
Tired.
She had to take a break.
Taking a break.
See, Pretzel dropped the gloves first, so it's the Pretzel's fault. Look at that.
Yeah.
The cookie was dropping a chalupa.
Look at the
I
crowd.
think
Look at the crowd.
This should be on Hockey
go
Fights
wild.
later tonight, probably.
Yeah. Justice for the Pretzel. The
and
only
look
thing
at-
the Pretzel gets is
Look at Mrs. Fields, like using her hockey sense there to go right around the fight. You know.
Oh, this is a
that's
good
one way.
uppercut to the
That's
Pretzel.
one way to look at it. Here
And
goes
I
a
love
random
Pretzel.
I love this
fan
victory
walking in the
tape
background.
too. Oh wait, hang on. He's got to, wait. Mrs. Fields needs a little break.
Oh, I'm gonna take a break.
So hang on.
I wish
This
Mrs.
victory
Fields would have
tape, you know,
laid down on the ground
I
like
like
they
how
do
it's-
in the actual race. But God
Usually
knows
when you
don't
win a
wanna lay on
race,
that
like
streak.
the tape breaks. Yeah, this one not so much. We just
Yeah.
ruin our
Just
banner.
wraps
But either
around.
way,
Wraps
And
around.
there's Pretzel. There's
Like
Pretzel still on the race course as the race ends. It's like the person that finishes the New York Marathon 7 days after it starts.
Hey,
yeah.
at least they finished.
Ted,
Um,
Mrs. Fields, she's not a trained athlete. She was out there
Yeah.
out of the goodness of her heart, and she was raising money for Sam Wu because
Can I just say
Sam
that
Wu
I think
likes his
the-
cookie trays.
the Mrs. Fields thing might be dead now. I think it might be fully dead.
The Mets
Oh.
did not go undefeated. The Mets did not go
You mean the
undefeated.
grimace
undefeated
stuff
after
with
Grimace.
Mrs.
The
Fields?
grimace thing went like 9 games on a 9-game winning streak or something like that before they lost.
They
the game.
did go on
like,
heater, yeah.
They went
went
on
on a
quite
heater.
the heater. We went on like a 2-game winning streak, and everybody's like, Mrs. Fields and that big purple dumpster looking guy. It's like the same thing. We're the one and the other. They're the hand in hand, like Jesus and Christmas. But
Yeah,
no,
but the Mets
I
don't
don't
have
know.
Kovacevic and Nemitz,
Oh.
No, they had Lindor and they had Carl the mailman. I don't know who the hell they have. But anyways,
Oh,
listen.
by the way, hold on. Before we switch away from baseball, I saw a kid at work wearing a Aaron Judge jersey there, Beer Baron. And
it had the name
I
on
asked
it, I
him-
bet, right?
No, it didn't actually. It just had the 99,
Oh.
but I asked him if an injury came with the jersey as well.
An oblique strain. He was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, my side." He goes, "I put the jersey on, my side started hurting really bad. It's like every time I put on my Jack Hughes jersey, my right shoulder starts to get a little sore."
hmm Yeah. Next time I
Uh,
see the kid wearing it, I'm going to toss him something. Watch him drop it.
No, just give him an ice pack. I'm a Yankee fan. I can say all that kind of stuff.
I'll toss him the ice pack
Um,
and watch him drop the ice pack. Too.
Watch him.
Here's
what
the ice
do you
pack for your
think?
injury.
3-4 now. You're 3-4. Now you're
Yep.
3-4, and you're gonna have to figure that out. The loudest water drink of all time by Scotty there. Hey,
Sorry.
one of the things you have to think about, and we didn't really think about, is we had a lot of people that are going to be listening to this wonderful podcast because we can listen to it through various ways, Spotify or Apple Music
Yep.
and Amazon Music, all these different ways you can listen to it. And some of our friends enjoy listening to us on their way to work. We did a poor job describing that race. We did a real piss poor job.
We did.
We
This
should
is
really
why we're
set
not
that up better.
play-by-play.
Not
We really
play by play,
should.
boys. Not play by play.
No, we're not.
Color analyst.
But
We got a professional on the broadcast here, and we still let ourselves down there.
Yeah.
That was good. We were describing the
It's-
fight. That was the main thing.
I will say this.
I mean, the race
there
was what,
really
all
not
of
much.
20 feet?
Yeah,
Everybody
and
ran
Mrs.
20
Fields still
feet.
couldn't make it. Mrs. Fields needed 3 breaks while Pretzel and ice cream were duking it. Yeah,
And those were not
This-
planned breaks. Those were
I
not
think
planned
Mrs.
breaks.
Fields needs to lay off the cookies if you know.
Those,
get what I'm
those were
saying.
necessary breaks.
Yeah, necessary breaks. I know. It's
They said, Sam, you can have 1 break. And he goes,
Oh,
I mean, Mrs.
here we
Fields, you can
go.
have 1 break.
here we go.
There it is.
There we
Boom.
go. You've got Pretzel and
There's
ice
the big-
cream are
big
well
right
in the
hook.
lead. Mrs. Fields is so behind. And then Pretzel gets in ice cream's
Ah.
face. Ice cream gets in Pretzel's face, delaying the two of them from crossing the line. And who's this coming up from the rear? Is this?
Oh, she's
Oh.
got to stop.
Oh,
gotta take
Mrs.
a
Fields
stop.
is no longer coming up from the rear because Mrs. Fields has decided to take a break. Mrs. Fields
throw
needs to
up.
start laying off the cookies. Oh my
So
gosh.
winded.
Mrs.
There's
Fields gotta lay off
butter
the cookies.
everywhere.
But ice cream is
Jeez.
just decking pretzel all day long.
It's like that time Michael Scott ate all the
Melting
fettuccine Alfredo before the run, the 5K run.
Oh,
He
yeah.
ate all the
Oh, my
fettuccine
God.
Oh,
Oh God! Anybody that has and just his nipples.
I'd
bleeding.
love to
I
see
remember
like
that from the
Sam just
episode.
like
And just vomit everywhere.
yeah, you just see
so
something just splash off the ground in between his legs there when he puts his head down.
ice cream's twist was just getting in his face. He couldn't even see anything.
What I also like is how
Starting to
Mrs.
melt
Fields
from all the activity.
Mrs. Fields
Right now.
doesn't even run.
Blah.
Mrs. Fields
You just see a little
Mrs.
puddle.
Fields doesn't run as much as she's shuffling. Oh
Yeah. Mrs.
Shuffling or
Fields,
frolicking? I'm gonna go with frolicking. I think there was more of a frolic there.
more frolic, a shuffle.
Little
Everybody.
Mrs.
a little
Fields
deer
is
in
running
the meadow.
Mrs. Fields is running about a 35-minute mile from my guesstimation of that blazing speed. That's a 35-minute mile right there.
Shows up in a taxi cab.
Look at that! Look at that!
So-
Boom!
Whoa!
Ice cream right in the pretzel. Take that pretzel.
Take that pretzel, you son of a bitch. And there's
Your salt won't deter me.
yeah.
Well, that's what happened to ice cream. It was melting because of the stupid salt.
It was
a
melting
cheap
because of the
move by
salt.
pretzel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cheap move. I'm glad I'm not a slug. I would have been dying on the street.
So moving on back to I know this is exciting and enthralling for all of our fans out there to watch this.
Oh, look at that
race for the
left.
10th
Oh,
time.
there comes another right.
Yeah.
But Pretzel could have had you. I'm going to show you.
Oh, what a
Pretzel comes back.
miss!
He misses. He misses
He
with a right.
misses.
Here comes ice cream. He's winding up.
Pretzel had
And,
a
look,
clear
Pretzel misses
advantage because
again.
ice cream couldn't even
Cannot
see anything.
see. Ice cream cannot see.
Ladies
And the
and
gloves are-
gentlemen, I've seen fights,
Uh-oh.
and this one for the
Uh-oh.
ages. There,
Oh, he missed
Pretzel, he
again.
winds
it's a
up. He's got a
block.
big haymaker loaded up. Ice cream finds a
Oh,
way to
there we
slip
go.
out of that.
Oh, there's a big roundhouse.
Meanwhile, Mrs. Fields
Watch
is
some.
feeling
There's some uppercuts that
grabs.
ice cream gives to pretzel here. Watch closely. There's a couple uppercuts into pretzel.
There's uppercuts. And there goes.
Into
You know,
right. I think
Mrs.
it's- I think
Fields.
it's right about here. Mrs. Fields at her 35-minute mile. There's one uppercut. There's the one. Here comes another.
Oh, yeah.
solid
Oh, right.
uppercut.
Here's a
Whoa.
guy. I just want to point
Whoa,
out
We
right
got
now
a
in the
gut
video.
shot right there. Oh,
There's a
yeah.
guy walking across the street in the background of the video that's walking faster than Mrs. Fields running.
Dude, that
I
is-
think there's a little kid in a pretzel costume that is crying in the background as her hero is getting pummeled by ice cream
Yeah.
over here.
No, that's Annie Ann's niece.
Annie Ann, no! You guys want to know what it's like to run half the Brooklyn
Bastard.
Marathon? If when you're running the Brooklyn Half Marathon, you're on Ocean Avenue. You got people trying to cross the street as you're trying to run, just like that, and it's annoying as all
Yeah.
hell. But you know what? That pretzel was cheap, and we need to have a re-race. We need to have a re-race because there's a couple iconic races in the world. You've got you got the Indy 500, you've
Yeah.
got Daytona 500,
Yeah.
you've got the F1 race in Monaco,
Yep. Also,
and then you have the American Whiskey 500, which is
Yeah.
500 minutes at
500 steps.
This is
500
Fields
steps.
to go 35 yards.
How many steps? Solid 500. 500.
500.
By the way,
inches.
there's
That's about as far as you can even head, about 500 inches.
Did he make it across the finish line? Some say yes.
Great American
Pretzel
Whiskey
never did.
500.
Pretzel never made it across the finish line, so
Oh.
Pretzel might want to challenge again. But we need to rerun this race. Maybe we'll give Mrs. Fields a better run for her money next time.
Charity, yeah. It'd be funny if like we put somebody that's actually super fast in the costume and made him race. Instead, we put the not so nimble.
Sam Wu
podcast.
likes watching this.
Yeah. So all right. So now
someone needs to get the cookie and inhaler.
Yeah. So
Here comes the frolic.
working our way. Yeah, here he comes. Working our way back to reality, back to this team. We have a very important stretch coming up because for two reasons, for obvious reasons. I mean, number one, the Devils need to start putting some wins together to keep their position, which is obvious.
6 points at this point.
Number two, 6 points right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm looking it up as we speak, and yeah, 6 points right now. So those 6 points sound like a lot, but they're not. They need to start to solidify themselves in that third position. I mean, is it impossible to catch Carolina at number 2? They're 8 points back of Carolina, so I wouldn't really. I don't foresee that happening. And at this point, if you're going to end up just playing Carolina at home anyways, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice to have the home ice advantage, but in the series. But at the same time, who cares? Just make it in at this point. The team needs to start playing more consistent hockey. And the thing that worries me is, are they running out of runway? Are we getting to the point where it's like, all right, we're start putting it together? Or is it going to be like one of those teams that they go on a heater at the end of the year? They start piecing things together. They start figuring it out. They start getting Markstrom starts getting more reps and getting healthy. And that's the other thing that sucks too. The ADD is really on fire tonight, boys. As I'm saying this, I'm like, yeah, it's great to get Markstrom reps, but it's like, but you can't really afford to do that. If they would have won at least one of the last 2 games, like, yeah, you could throw Markstrom out there, but you also don't have a choice. He is your number 1 for a reason. If you're going to a playoff series and you have Allen starting over Markstrom and your excuse is that he's not ready, then maybe he should have been rehabbing a little bit longer.
You can rehab all you want. You can rehab all you want, but there's nothing like game reps.
Yeah, I know.
And
game
if you're coming back, and if you're coming back from injury and you're being asked to shoulder such a burden because the offense can't hold the puck in the zone, which means that the defense is not going to play very well because they're gassed, and you're being relied on to win the game for your team, that's not a good way to come back. That's actually one of the worst ways to come back because you're still worried about and testing your body out. You're still learning to trust that your body has recovered and the injury is not going to come back. So you've got that in the back of your mind, along with going, oh, crap, I have to let in almost nothing because our offense can't score. That's a lot of pressure to put on Markstrom. So you can't just say, oh, well, he's got to be our starter. This is how you're working him back in. You have them flip-flopping games because I watched him come off that ice on Thursday night. And I can almost guarantee that the conversation in the locker room, he looked pissed. And he looked really pissed in that Vegas game. And I can guarantee the conversation in that locker room kind of went something like, hey, Marky, sorry about that. We should have got that win for you. And it was probably from Markstrom, a very simple, F you failed me, get me a win. I can tell you from the goalie's point of view, you can only hear, oh, man, we're sorry about that one. That one was on us. You can only hear that speech so many times before you absolutely lose it. And he looked like he was about to lose it as he came off that ice on Thursday because he needs a win to get him back on the good graces of confidence. And this team is not playing with confidence in front of him, meaning he's got to worry more about not only, like I said, his injury, but he's got to be almost perfect. And he's not going to be perfect right now coming back. You can rehab all you want. It's game reps.
But do you think that's a double-edged sword, like that his confidence is shaky because of the play in front of him, but the play in front of him is shaky because their confidence is not 100% in him? Does that make sense?
They're smart enough. It makes sense. At the same time, too, the guy's coming back from injury. So what the forwards and the defense should be looking at is like, listen, we got to play a little bit tighter to get this guy, to make sure this guy gets back in. It's not like he just lost his confidence and he's lost 10 straight games because of whatever you have. He's coming back from injury. That's a tough one. But the team is not clicking at all. on any part of this. Jake Allen was the best part of this team for the last couple games. And the team didn't play well last night, and it's going to show that he didn't look like he didn't play well, but he made some pretty big saves last night. He had to make about 2 or 3 saves within the first 9 seconds of the game. You should never have to do that as a goaltender. Of course, it's your job, so you're going to do that. But he had to make 2 or 3 saves in the first 9 seconds. It's if you're going to let them come down and good scoring chances too. It's not just like they were, pucks that were thrown in from outside the blue line, and he had to play them. They were really good scoring opportunities. You shouldn't let up scoring opportunity like that in the first 9 seconds of the game. So there's a lot of problems there, and maybe it's exhaustion. Maybe it is exhaustion. Maybe they didn't get. I was listening to the radio, and part of the downside, and I hate using this as an excuse, but part of the downside of these, tours that they do preseason and to start the season off somewhere that's not here, is you lose about a week of good quality time with your team and getting fitness underneath your skates. Getting the fitness on your skates going into the season. We lost a good solid week of fitness, in that preseason. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the full excuse, but I'm really curious, like how much of that lack of, maybe it's a lack of fit. I don't know. I'm just throwing anything against the wall that sticks. But that's a possibility too, because they couldn't have a good, solid start to finish preseason. Where you're getting guys in, where you're getting all your fitness in. When we look good coming out, we've had injuries too, and the team, and it's been a long while since the goaltending, the defense, and the offense have all been on the same page and moving in the same direction for a win. It's been a while since then.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's
that about
tough.
sums it up right there.
Yeah. That about do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening tonight. That takes all of our thoughts and puts them into one little bottle and shakes it up. Although we are getting close to that part of the show, the final thought part of the show. But I mean, you're 100% right about everything that you're saying. And it's really strange. And like I said before, when I was ping-ponging my answer back and forth between is it the coaches or the players, was because it's really hard to pinpoint or put your thumb down on one thing. You really could say like injury had a lot to do with a lot of their struggles, but the injuries happened at different times. Like they were struggling with Jack Hughes in the lineup post Christmas break. They were struggling with Dougie Hamilton in the lineup post Christmas break. Were they struggling as much when Siegenthaler was in the lineup? I would like to go back and take a look at that, but there's a lot of different things. Like there's even in the beginning of the year, they were playing good hockey and they were winning more often than losing, but they weren't putting consistent winning streaks together. They weren't putting like 4-game, 5-game, 6-game, things like that. They would win 3, then they lose 1, then they lose, win 2. So it was like this balance, but because they were winning more than they were losing, it was almost like, whatever, it's okay. They're fine. They're going to be fine. But I also think that kind of Jekyll and Hyde play also catches up to you because, you're playing good. But that flip, we saw the switch get flipped, where then they started losing 2 and winning 1, losing 2 and winning 1.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance. And when you can't find that consistency and you cannot put together a solid effort game in and game out, that's where we get this like kind of seesaw behavior of this team.
And that's where you can maybe start pointing to the coaches like, okay, what are you not doing to correct the Jekyll and Hyde nature of this team? Because that should be a top priority. So that's where you can start looking to the coaching staff. But again, also the players know they have to lose. I think the most annoying thing on Thursday was as they're coming off the ice, it was a bad third period and Markstrom's pissed. They all look pissed, and there's some jackwagon to my left going, "Oh, you guys lost. You suck, blah, blah, blah." And I can guarantee if that guy had ever even put skates on in his life, after about 30 seconds on those skates, he would look as winded as Mrs. Fields did in the American Whiskey 500. I guarantee that guy could do not even anywhere near as good as some of the mites on ice, but the guy was just losing his mind. It's like, God, it's like, dude, man, they know they lost. You don't have to, go shove a pretzel in your mouth because you need to just shut the F up.
Yeah, I mean, that's also, as fans, that's also frustration because you're in a game as a fan. You go into the third period, you're up 3-1. You're playing damn good hockey. In those first two periods, they played pretty damn good hockey. And then all of a sudden they come out where they should have made the right adjustments in between periods, and they come back and they like completely deuce the bed. So as a fan, yeah, that is extremely frustrating. And by the way, I want to point out that Calgary is one of the lowest scoring teams in the league right now, and they come out and they put that kind of firepower out there. It's like what That's what's frustrating. That's where you're getting a response from a fan like that.
If you see, I kind of disagree because if you're looking at these guys come off, they looked visibly pissed off. Markstrom especially looked visibly pissed off. If they're coming off the ice looking just like they don't care, then yes, that's
okay. Yeah, all right. I agree with that.
That's when you give it to them. But they were coming off the ice. You could tell that they were pissed off. You could tell that they were frustrated. That's one of those things. Like, yeah, I know. We all paid to be there. That guy paid to be there too. But at the same time, you kind of have to read the room. And if you see them coming off looking pretty pissed off, they know they lost, and they don't need to hear it from Captain Jumbo over there, who just needs to have another hot dog because he could do no better. He didn't know what he was talking about. It's just it was frustrating, and he was wearing a Yankees hat too, so that had a lot to say about him too.
The old Bronx cheer in Newark, huh?
Yeah. Not good.
Nothing's good enough.
Not good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah, not good enough.
That's good enough.
Well, we should get into our final thoughts of the evening here. We're coming to that 60-minute mark. We're right around here. And a big week for the Devils. They got a game tomorrow. Who the hell are they playing tomorrow? Why can't I think right now?
They're playing the Canucks.
Playing the Canucks. Yes, Vancouver, then Chicago on Wednesday, then Winnipeg on Friday, Minnesota. Home and home at Minnesota. Saturday,
home with Minnesota.
Saturday, Monday. Yeah, Saturday, Monday. So they get one day off. They get next Sunday off. There's 4 games this week.
Yeah, and our good friend Vinny Parisi gets to see the Devils live and in person on Wednesday.
Yeah, over there at the Madhouse on Madison. I believe that's what it is, right? Yeah. Well, for my final thought, I'm just going to echo Short Sky, and this entire team needs to get on the same page, where we do have the offensive bursts, where we do have the defensive games, where we do get the goaltending I feel like has been solid, save for a couple of these recent Markstrom games, but he's coming back from injury. But I feel like Markstrom through the majority of the season, Jake Allen has been beyond a pleasant surprise. Even Nico Dawes when he came up. The goaltending has been really good. We just got to get that offense and defense clicking again on the same page at the same time. And this will be a very big week. The panic button, if this week does not go well, the panic button will be pushed.
Be smashed
by the end of the week. It will be smashed by the end of the week. But the Devils have an opportunity. They can go 3-1 in these 4 games. They can go 4-0. But these are all playoff teams except for Chicago that they're going against. So, Mr. Kovacevic, if you're saying you need to play like the playoffs, well, you're going to have your opportunities unless Sheldon Keefe Richards decides to do a little scratching come tomorrow.
It wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me.
It seems like he's scratching who he wants to scratch. That would be. We've seen other big names
control the team.
Yeah, Eric Halla getting sit. Curtis Lazar getting sit. I mean, these are regulars on your team. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. Don't be shocked. But we'll find out tomorrow. But playoff time, playoff hockey time.
I think what's sad for my final thought, I think what's sad in the 2 losses that just happened is the fact that we kind of we didn't get a chance to really celebrate the fact that Jesper Bratt broke Scott Stevens' single season record for the Devils with 61 assists. And what an accomplishment for a player who's really shown, it doesn't matter where you're drafted. He's a great example of this. Coming into the league, drafted in the 6th round, he's come out and has played. If you were redrafting this dude to be definitely a top 10 player, but Jesper Bratt has been nothing but amazing for the Devils since he's joined the team. Yes, he's had some ups, he's had some downs. Lindy Ruff and him had some days where he would get benched or he find short ice time, but it might have helped him because he's really developed into one of the most consistent players on his team, if not in the NHL. His numbers speak for himself. His character speaks for himself. I mean, hell, he's got a whole, pack of people that follow him. And we're damn proud and damn glad to have him on a team. It's just a shame that, Jack got hurt because Peanut Butter and Jelly was really grooving at one point in this year. And hopefully, he can start finding the back of the net as well. But yeah, dude, it's kind of a bummer. It sucks when you lose a couple games in a row because it does overshadow some of the finer points. So congratulations to Bratter, and hopefully there's more in the future.
Congratulations to Brad. It was a great thing to see. I'm happy to have been there for it. That was about the only bright spot of that game last night. I think everything else I already said today. So get all 3 portions of our game on the same page, and the Devils will do fine. But they gotta start playing like it's the playoffs. They legitimately gotta play like that because before you know it, we'll be on the outside looking in if we don't do that.
Yeah, and that would be a waste of a hell of a season.
Yep,
that it would. So let's go, boys. Tomorrow we'll be back doing some Game Day Live and Devils After Dark for their contest against the old Vancouver Canucks. A 2/3 Hughes Bowl going on at the Prudential Center tomorrow with Luke and Quinn. I'm sure Jack will be in the press box watching all along, but we'll have everything covered for you. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube page, all of that goodness. Instagram, X, Facebook. Say hello. And we'll be back again next week with the big show. And of course, these 4 games over the next few days. For Shorts Guy, Beer Baron, who's now stopping me. What's up?
Real quick, on this day in 2000, even though the Devils had a record of 41, 25, and 8, Lou Lamoriello fired Coach Robbie Ftorek and replaced him with assistant coach Larry Robinson when there was only 8 games left.
Yep.
Who could forget something like that? Thank you, New Jersey Devils History on Twitter, or X, whatever the hell it is. I forgot about that.
There we go.
Watch
out, Keith. The ghost of Lou. All right, till next time, let's go Devils.